Okay, yesterday evening I did some more prep work on the engine for dropping it. I drained the radiator right there, that's the drain plug. I also took off the bottom radiator hose here and here. I've got the fan shroud, prepping it to drop it off. Took loose on the bolts that hold it underneath, and also the connectors that go to the two fans. I drained the oil. The oil drain plug on this pan is super tight, and I'm fearful of cracking the pan. So I pulled this oil temperature sensor out of there to drain it. That was an aftermarket mod done by Andile. I'll tell you more about that later. Also, we still have this issue with the pin on the clutch fork. I think I have a workaround for that. If I pull the screws out of the pressure plate off the flywheel by turning the crank, that whole clutch assembly should come loose from the flywheel. And then if I take the bell housing off, it should all come off as one assembly. However, it's going to be super tight with the amount of space I have right here between the drive shaft and that clutch assembly. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Also, there's some more prep work I need to do up top before I even try pulling those bolts off the bell housing. I'll show you that in just a moment. So up top here, part of the engine prep for drop will be to take off the air cleaner box. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to take the fuel distributor off. That means taking loose on all these fuel lines, which I'll need to label because there's a lot of them. And then the coolant reservoir, make room. Also, that's a air oil separator, I'm pretty sure, part of the emissions. And then what I wanted to show you way the heck down in here, you can see it right in the middle of the frame there in the bottom. That's the flywheel sensor. So on this K-tronic car, those are unobtainium. So if I break that, I'm probably going to have to go to a different type of ignition system on this car, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea because this one's pretty complex. You can see I've disconnected these two harnesses. Also mounted right there on the firewall is that's where the coil was. So I've already removed that. There's the coil. So that just mounts back down in there. So quite a bit of work here. It's pretty cold out in the garage today. So if I get back in there and start messing around with that flywheel cinder, I'm going to definitely warm it up with a heat gun, because my experience on these brittle 40-year-old wires is when they're cold and you start messing with them, jackets break, the wires fray, and bad things happen. Wish me luck. So yeah, we're getting a pretty good collection of parts. I got the fan shroud off, and hoses, airbox, and access is so much better now. One thing I wanted to show is this flexible duct from the fuel distributor to the turbo is got some pretty bad cracks in it. That certainly wasn't helping things, because from what I've been told, any kind of air leak on these K-tronics, especially the turbo cars, will make them run poorly. The only other issue I found, there's a AC line, air conditioner line, coolant line that's probably badly wore. That's a design issue on Porsche's behalf. So from what the Porsche service manual says, the AC compressor has to come off. I think it would come out anyway, but I'll probably go ahead and pull it. Shouldn't be that hard. It's a pretty simple bracket. just keep plugging. All right, so I got the fuel distributor out and some more hoses. I'm working on this AOS air oil separator. Let me show you something here. This shows you some ridiculous engineering. Those three 10mm bolts, the two that are right up against one another, that's just wrong on so many levels. I'm going to have to slot the top one. It's going in at a right angle because you can't get a wrench on it. You can't get an open end. You can't get a socket. It's just, I don't know. If this was Audi or VW, because you know, Porsche took over the 924 project from those two companies, and that's the reason a lot of the purists don't care much for them, because they consider them a Volkswagen. But I like the cars. They handle really well. They're the precursor to the 944, so it's got some real lineage behind it. Now I have the AOS out, and I just took the snorkel off, so we just keep removing components off the top of the engine. Next will be the throttle body. Probably just take the whole intake as one piece, and I'll try to keep all those vacuum hoses in one kind of ball, for lack of a better description, and mark the ends that are coming loose, because there's a whole bunch of vacuum hoses on these 931s. Okay, had a good stopping point for day 2 on this tear down. Pulling that assembly out saved a lot of trouble. That's the warm-up valve. Also got the engine harness out in its entirety. Those are very rare because they're specific to this turbo engine. So I've been getting down to the nitty-gritty. Back in here, I took loose, there's like 4 coolant hoses back here on a couple of thermotime switches. Some real fun stuff. Trying to get down to that cinder, that pulse cinder on the flywheel. So that's the one that is no longer available anywhere. So I'm just trying to get as much stuff cleared out before I go in there to remove that. Those cinders can get corroded into those openings, and if that's the case, it's not going to be pretty. So anyway, hopefully you guys are learning something from all this. I know I am. Oh, I did find a couple of problems that I didn't know exist. Number 4 spark plug wire was not on. That could have been contributing to the bad running, you think. What else? There was a couple little things that I was unaware of that as I dug down, I found them and I go, oh crap. So that's all for today. We'll pick it back up again on day 3. Thanks for watching.